Picture this, a seemingly ordinary object in the brushstrokes of a legendary painter suddenly unlocking secrets about his world, connections to distant lands, and the hidden influences behind his timeless art. Johannes Vermeer's paintings have always captivated us with their intimate scenes, but what if one tiny detail, a rare jewelry box, reveals a whole new layer of mystery? Dive in as we explore how this discovery is reshaping our view of the master artist. But here's where it gets controversial. Could Vermeer's wealthy patrons have been pulling the strings on what he depicted, or was it all his own genius at play? Recently, a fascinating find has emerged from Vermeer's canvases, spotlighting an exceptional Indian jewelry casket that appears in his work. Alexandra van Dongen, a dedicated curator at Rotterdam's Boijmans van Beuningen Museum, details this in her upcoming book, The Tangible World of Johannes Vermeer, set for release in the Netherlands on November 20th. For those new to art history, Vermeer was a Dutch painter known for his meticulous, everyday scenes, and this book dives deep into the real objects that inspired him, helping us understand how his art reflected the tangible world around him. The star of the discovery is this Indo-Portuguese casket, crafted in the 17th century in the bustling port of Cochin, modern-day Kochi in southern India. It was skillfully made by a local artisan for a European buyer, blending Indian craftsmanship with Portuguese influences in a way that created something truly unique. These caskets, constructed from sturdy teak and ebony woods, were prized possessions back then but are incredibly scarce today. Think of them as the luxury handbags of the 1600s, elegant and exclusive. Van Dongen, with assistance from Amsterdam dealer Dickie Zeebreggs, managed to locate what might be the only surviving example of this type of casket. It's now part of the Tavora Sequeira Pinto collection in Porto, Portugal, and will be showcased next year at the Museu das Convergências. Imagine the excitement of tracing such a relic across centuries. Now, here's the intriguing part, these caskets were exorbitantly pricey in 17th century Holland, far beyond what an artist like Vermeer, who also managed a tavern called the Mechelen in Delft's Market Square, could likely afford. Yet, he portrayed the exact casket in two of his paintings from 1664 to 67, Mistress and Maid, housed in the Frick Collection in New York, and A Lady Writing, at the National Gallery of Art in Washington, D.C. This accuracy suggests he must have had access to a real one, perhaps right in his studio. And this is the part most people miss. How did a painter from a modest background depict such opulent items so precisely? Van Dongen's research points to a compelling theory. The casket likely came from Vermeer's most generous patron, Maria de Knuijt. She was a powerhouse in her time, believed to have acquired at least 20 of his roughly 37 paintings, a woman who held significant sway in the art world, recently revealed to have been a key supporter of the artist. Not only was she affluent, but she was also a major investor in the Dutch East India Company, the influential trading giant that facilitated commerce between the Netherlands and Asia, including India. This position would have given her direct access to exotic goods like this casket. It's entirely plausible, then, that de Knuijt requested Vermeer to incorporate her cherished casket into Mistress and Maid and A Lady Writing, both of which were probably part of her personal collection. This raises a bold question. Were Vermeer's scenes dictated by what his patrons owned, or was he freely interpreting the world? Some might argue it shows patronage shaping creativity, while others see it as evidence of Vermeer's keen observation of his surroundings. What do you think? Did wealthy backers like de Knuijt influence the very subjects of his art, or was it purely the artist's vision? Vermeer's fascination with Asian artifacts doesn't stop there. Another example is a 17th-century Japanese lacquer box adorned with gold powder, featured in Woman with a Pearl Necklace, from 1662 to 64, now at the Staatliche Museen zu Berlin. This box likely journeyed from Nagasaki, Japan, where the Dutch were the sole Europeans allowed to trade during that era, a monopoly that brought such treasures to Europe. Picture it being used to store jewelry or personal grooming items, adding a touch of elegance to daily life. And intriguingly, de Knuijt was the original owner of this painting too, which dates to the same period as the casket artworks, fueling speculation that it might have been hers as well. Shifting to something more down-to-earth, Van Dongen also examines a humble earthenware cooking pot in the Milkmaid, 1658-59, Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam. She identifies it as originating from Oosterhout, about 60 kilometers south of Delft, a place known for its distinctive pots that stand on 3 legs, though in the painting, those legs are cleverly hidden by a loaf of bread. As someone who ran a tavern alongside his painting career, Vermeer would have had no trouble accessing such everyday pottery. This highlights how his works masterfully blend the extraordinary with the ordinary, depicting objects from the luxurious to the commonplace with stunning realism. For beginners, it's a great reminder that art often mirrors the real world, from rare imports to simple kitchenware. In essence, these discoveries paint a richer picture of Vermeer's Delft, connecting his intimate interiors to global trade and personal networks. But here's where it gets controversial again: if Vermeer relied on patrons for access to such items, does that diminish his originality? Or does it enhance our appreciation of the collaborative art world of the 17th century? Share your views in the comments. Do you believe patronage shaped Vermeer's genius, or was he an independent innovator? Let's discuss.